Hey everyone, and welcome to the Wolfpacker Show. My name's Ethan McDowell, and I am here with Noah Fleischman, as I am every week. And we're back. It's time for another basketball update. We're going to tackle the latest news around the men's and women's basketball programs, talk about the latest storylines around both teams, and cover what is a very exciting time for the women's team as they compete for number one seed in the NCAA tournament. And we're going to, dive into the men's team and what maybe we're seeing a bit of a turnaround here, maybe some positive momentum building. We're going to break that all down. But before we do, just a quick housekeeping note. We're both reporters for the Wolfpacker.com. That's NC State's site on the On3 network. The fastest growing college sports website out there. If you want recruiting news, in my opinion, the best rankings out there for basketball and football prospects, and premium recruiting analysis, team news. It's all on there on the Wolfpacker.com, and it's only $1 right now to join for your first month of premium access to our message board and all of those awesome stories that Noah and I are getting up on the site regularly. So go check it out, thewolfpacker.com. It's never going to be cheaper to join than it is right now. So go check it out at thewolfpacker.com. All right, Noah, let's get into it. Basketball talk. It was another busy week. It's going to be busy for the next month here, but NC State, back-to-back wins at home. They are doing exactly what a men's team, I should say. The men's team has won back-to-back home games. They're doing what they needed to do when we last spoke. So first, to start off with the 74-68 win over Miami, and they follow that up with an 82-76 win over Georgia Tech. Both games, close matchups, but the Pack, I'd say, was clearly the better team in both games. They were, extremely deserving to go out there and defend home court there because I thought they played well. It was two of the better ACC performances I think we've seen this year. Noah, you were at both of those contests. Give us the breakdown. What did you like? What did you not like about the Pack's little 2-game winning streak we got here?
Yeah, it's exactly what they needed to do. Coming back to Raleigh, having a 3-game homestand, these 3 games are really, really important on their ability to start to, generate some buzz around the program, generate some NCAA talk. They're 2-0 so far in this stretch. And yeah, they beat Miami, which I think we talked about a little bit last week, but they held a really good 3-point shooting team to 25% from beyond the arc, made them take a lot of threes to make 6 or 7, I think. So it was good to see. And then, they come and they had Georgia Tech, who is coming off a win over Carolina. Hot team that has wins. Their 3 ACC wins are Carolina, Clemson, and Duke. Not about 3 teams to have on your list.
Kidding.
But they've also lost to some not so great games. So NC State took care of business too. They went on they're only up 1 at the half, or trailed by 1 at the half, but had a 24-4 run in the second half to break the game open. Held on the win 82-76. So, Kevin Keats was pretty pleased. Defense showed up in both games, which is what they need. Offense also showed up. DJ Horn with back-to-back 20-point efforts. Jaden Taylor, or more than 20 because he had 24 and 26 en route to a co-ACC Player of the Week. Shared it with Harrison Ingram of North Carolina. Jaden Taylor scored 21 in the Georgia Tech game, which made it the first game this season that NC State had 2 guys with 20 points or more in the same game.
Okay.
So they talk about the depth of this team and really balanced scoring. Normally, it's one guy gets hot, the rest are around 12 to 13 to 15 points. They had 2 guys with 20 points, so I think that worked out well for Wake Forest, or for Georgia Tech, excuse me. So overall, a good start to the homestand. They have a chance to close it tonight against Pitt.
The Georgia Tech game specifically, I thought was impressive because the shots weren't falling, right? Like they went 9 of 31 from 3, shot 37.7% overall, and you still put up 82 points. Shoot, that's great. The free throw line was huge for them. They hit 21 free throws and grabbed 13 offensive rebounds too. Like it was a good night of doing the little things. I thought, of course, you had the Sports Center top 10 play by Jaden Taylor to corral the ball headed out of bounds, whip it out to Michael O'Connell beyond the 3-point line and drain that triple, which, that was cool to see NC State viral moment as well. But I thought it was a good game, and yeah, Georgia Tech, they're 10-12, but they were coming off of that huge win, and that was one where, I mean, their confidence probably was at the highest point it has been this season. You go and defeat UNC at home, so to hold on, win that game, and take care of business, because that's what the home stretch of the season's about for the men's program, right? They need to take care of business, win all of the games that they need to win, and then have a couple surprises in there as well. So going off of that topic, no, I don't know if you have anything more to talk about the games that have already happened, but looking towards what we've got coming up, the only games in the immediate future will be a home game against Pittsburgh tonight at 7 p.m. And then they'll hit the road for Wake Forest on Saturday for a 4 p.m. matchup, and that's before their bye week. So 2-game stretch, got to finish strong here. Noah, just a little gut check for you here. How are you feeling compared to last week after you saw the team go and dispatch Georgia Tech? Has it altered your view on where this program's trajectory is at this point of the season?
Yeah, I think that they're playing their way into a spot that gives them a chance, right? They're not putting themselves squarely on the bubble yet. They still have work to do to get to that point, but they're giving themselves a chance, which I think is something you want to see. Against Georgia Tech, 4 turnovers. That's it. Season low. They had 3 for a while until they had a little baseline out of bounds play where they called a timeout. They were told to stay on the spot, and what happens? I believe it was Casey Morcell just ran the baseline, and that kind of was turnover. But Kevin Keith gave him some grief for it after the game, but it was fine. But I think that is working out well, as they're putting themselves a chance to get onto the bubble, and they're doing it with this new lineup. A smaller lineup with Michael O'Connell starting at the point, DJ Horn at the shooting guard, Jaden Taylor and Casey Morcell in the wings, and then DJ Burns in the middle. It's working well defensively and offensively. It's guys that can play, have the energy, keeps them a little more athletic. They had to do that against Miami to match up with Miami's perimeter players a little bit better, but they kept it for Georgia Tech, who had some size at the 4 spot, but they were able to get them in the foul troubles, and then Georgia Tech had to play with 4 guards too, and it worked out well. So I'm kind of interested to see if NC State sticks with this lineup down the stretch, because Kevin Keats has talked on his radio show and things like that, where the Miami game, he was rolling this lineup out no matter what happened. Mm-hmm. Then he did it for Georgia Tech, hoping maybe a little bit that Georgia Tech would match their 4 guards and play 4 guards, play what NC State wants to do. It'll be interesting to see what teams decide to do, if they want to match the 4 guards that NC State plays, or if they put 2 bigs out there and say, match our 2 bigs. So it's going to be something that's interesting. Keith said he's cool with doing it this way. He's also cool with going back to the starting some bigger guys out there too, like, starting a Modiar, starting a Ben Middlebrooks maybe, just to match size a little bit better. So we'll see what happens. But I think that's the biggest thing, so far. And I'm sure we can talk about Pitt tonight and then Wake Forest. But as you said, they need to finish these 2 games strong before getting a week off, because once they come back from a week off, they've got another tough game with Clemson.
Yeah, and you mentioned the different lineup combinations, and I feel like that was a point of contention for a lot of Wolfpack fans early in the season, because there wasn't really like a defined rotation for parts of the year. Coach Keats was trying a lot of different things. And while I do think that did lead to a lot of uncertainty around this program, and it was a popular talking point when the team was struggling mightily, I think now they're starting to figure out things that work. Like you mentioned that 4-guard lineup. I think it's definitely showing some promise. And now you have a few different lineups you can use, where it's almost like you have attacks and counterattacks now. Like the beauty of having so many players that you can put into your rotation is that you should be able to develop ways to counter just about anything another team throws at you. And we're going to find out how good those counter punches are from Coach Keats and the rest of that staff. And it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited. And it starts with Pittsburgh tonight. And Pittsburgh, the great 3-point shooting team. Noah, we were talking off mic, and you brought up that they lead the ACC in 3-point field goals per game at I believe it was 9.32. And they're a really, really talented shooting team. Blake Hinson drives that team, leads the ACC in three-pointers made, and is just fifth in total scoring at 18 points per game. Noah, what are your thoughts on the matchup against the Panthers? And if you want to throw a prediction in there for us, go for it.
Yeah, this is similar to the Miami game a couple games ago. You get a team that can shoot the three ball really, really well. Miami, I believe, was second in the ACC at the time in three-pointers in the league. They're playing the team that leads the league now in Pitt. In 9.32 a game, they've made 10 or more threes in 11 games this season, and it's a team that can really score the basketball from the perimeter. I think that will, cause some challenge a little bit for NC State. But they were able to hold Miami to 25%. They did hit 7 threes in that game, but NC State made them work for it. It was their lowest three-point percentage of the season. I think the similar thing happens tonight with Pitt. Blake Hinson, a guy who went 7 for 7 against Duke in the upset at Cameron from the outside. He's a forward that can shoot the ball really, really well. And then they've got a freshman, Carlton Carrington. Freshman, he's the only freshman in the NCAA to average 13.5 points, 5 boards, and 4 assists a game. He's playing really, really well as a freshman guard. And Kevin Keats talked about it this week, and he basically said he doesn't look at Carrington as a freshman anymore. He's a sophomore. He goes, he's played in the ACC for half the ACC schedule. He's turned into a sophomore in his mind. He's playing really, really well. And I think that matchup to watch tonight, there's two. It's who guards Blake Hinson. He's a bigger guy that can shoot the perimeter shot. Maybe you throw a Casey Morsell, let him go at him defensively. Maybe you go really big and throw out a Mo Diarra or Ben Middlebrooks and try to throw him off that way. Then you look at the guard matchup. Carlton Carrington versus Jaden Taylor. That's going to be, probably the best, matchup on the floor, going down the other way when Pitt has the ball. So those are two things I'm looking to watch. And you asked me for a bold prediction. I put it in our preview story yesterday. It's on the wolfpacker.com. But I said, I think DJ Horn goes for 20 again tonight, which would be the first time in his college career, in his 5th season, that he would have 3 straight 20-point games. He's done it twice this year back-to-back, which was the first time he's ever done that. I think he goes for his 3rd in a row and keeps the scoring machine going, because NC State's offense goes as DJ Horn goes. He shoots the ball well, and they shoot the ball well. He doesn't shoot it well. It's kind of tough going. So I think that he gets the ball dropping again, and they leave this 3-game homestand 3-0.
And all right, so you're going with the win. I'm with you there as well. I think I liked what I saw out of their 3-point defense against Miami. I think they'll replicate that against Pittsburgh, and like you said, in the homestand with a win. All right, we don't have to go too deep on Wake Forest, Noah, but I kind of want to parlay this into a conversation about the net. You've been following the metrics really closely down the stretch here. The path for NC State to rise up that metric and get into a spot where they could contend for an NCAA tournament spot. So obviously, Wake Forest, NC State beat them last year. I'd say all in all, probably the best performance of their season. I'd say definitely one of the most exciting games they've played. It was, obviously Coach Keats got thrown out, there were multiple ejections, but NC State held on and battled for that win at home. Now they have to do it on the road. Them and Wake Forest are tied for 4th in the ACC standings right now, so it's a big game as well. And regardless of what happens, it's a quad 1 potential result. Noah, can you just explain that to me like I'm 5 years old?
Yeah, they beat them earlier this season in a game that was electric. Losing at the half, Kevin Keats gets tossed, Kareem Richardson takes the bench the rest of the way, and they win 83-76. In a game that they really played well in the second half, and Wake Forest didn't. It was a little bit of both that paid off in NC State's favor. You look at this matchup, Wake Forest is 32 in the net. When you look at how the net works, 1 through 30 in a home game for NC State qualifies as a quad-1 game. They beat them at home this season. So if Wake Forest were to get to 30 or 29, whatever, then it's a Q1 win, which NC State has 0 of at the moment, 0-5. Well, on the road, you just got to be in the top 75 to be a quad-1 game. So this Saturday is a quadrant 1 game for NC State, quadrant 2 game for Wake Forest. If NC State wins, they pick up a quadrant 1 road win, but they run the risk of hurting their quadrant 1 home win they could pick up against Wake Forest, depending on how Wake Forest ends. So I think if you really play the numbers and you want to play the metrics, if you're Kevin Keats, you want to win the game, but you don't want to blow them. Yes, obviously it's a hot take. You want to win the game. But honestly, you don't want to blow them out. You do not want to hurt them too much in the net. You want to give them an opportunity to slide up. The best case scenario for NC State here is they win on the road on Saturday. Not saying they will, not saying they won't. Just saying best case scenario, they win by like 2 points, 3 points. Wake Forest falls like 2 spots in the net to like 32, 34. They're at 32 right now. If they fall to 34, gives them plenty of time to get back in the top 30. Then NC State could pick up 2 quad 1 wins against the same opponent, which would be very, very pivotal because Wake Forest is a team that's been on the bubble from Joe Lenardi. They're a team that's trying to get in the tournament. I think they should be in the tournament. There's a lot of this, anti-ACC bias that basically every single coach in the league is talking about right now on how they're being projected 3 or 4 teams in the league, and it should really be. Kevin Keats thinks 5 or 6 annually, maybe even as many as 8 if the league is going really well. But they're looking at 3 or 4 right now. Probably get to 5 on Selection Sunday. So it's a big thing. NC State's got a chance. They're right now at 78 in the net. A lot of work to do. You kind of want to be in the top 40, top 45 to really have a safe bet of getting in through your net ranking, which means they got a lot of work to do. And, Wake Forest's first big opportunity on this remaining stretch. And then you look after that, Clemson is sitting 31 in the net. That's a quadrant 1 game on the road. You come home, they get 2 games that they need to win again against Syracuse and Boston College. Can't lose either of those at that point. Then you hit the road, Florida State, dangerous team. Their nets are not very good, but they're a really good team. They're 13-9. They've dealt with injuries. They've dealt with different things. The net of 93 or 94. And then they close the season with could be 3 straight Q1 games with Carolina, Duke, and then at Pitt, depending on where Pitt ends up in the net by the end of the year. Could be a quadrant 1 game on the road. So look at their path to the NCAA tournament. Win. I think that's, as Mark Davis, the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders would say, just win, baby. Because I think that's how you get yourself in tournaments. You win games. And going down the stretch, they got 9 left, realistically, to give themselves a really good chance of getting the tournament. 6-3, 7-2. I don't know I don't think 5-4 does it. I think 6-3, 7-2 gives you a chance. I don't think 5-4 does it.
Yeah, and for the listeners and the viewers, we're not here telling you that NC State's going to make the tournament, just off of these quad 1 games, because it's not an easy path. But the path still exists. I think around a few weeks ago, people had just written it off. When that 3-game losing streak hit, people were like, all right, lucky to make the NIT. That's not true. That's not the case. The path exists, and there's still reason to be hopeful, because I still believe that NC State is capable of beating just about any team in the ACC, and they just have to, the stars have to align a little bit, but it is possible. Noah, thank you. That was a great illustration of how absurd the net ranking is at times, and
the last thing to add is for people that care about the net, I don't really think you should look at NC State's net ranking right now. Because when you look at the net, it will be different by the end of the year. You look at who the opponent's net ranking is and who the opponents they've already played net ranking is. Virginia, almost a quadrant 1 home win. That one, I think NC State fans, if you're going to root for somebody down the stretch, root for the Cavaliers. Because, I think that if you want NC State to pick up another quadrant 1 win, that's one to get. So that's the last thing I had is, look at the opponent's net ranking, not necessarily your net ranking. Till Selection Sunday rolls around, then look at your own net ranking, see where you're at. But between now and then, it's all about where the opponents line up, because the more of them that keep shooting up the net rankings, that only means your net ranking is going to carry up to.
I feel like by the end of the year, Noah, you're going to have one of those cork boards with red yarn stringing from team to team and behind you on these podcasts. But awesome. Thanks for that breakdown. We're going to break down everything around the women's team in just a second here. But before we do that, I wanted to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is a ticket buying and selling marketplace for tickets to whether you're looking for a basketball game, a Hurricanes game, a Durham Bulls game is coming up here, and everything around that, comedy shows, concerts, just any event that you need a ticket, you can find it on Game Time. Game Time, the app is available on any app store, or you can find it on your web browser at gametime.co. It's not .com, that's .co. And so I personally like the app on my phone, and my favorite thing about it is when you go and you log on, you can see exactly the view from your seat of the ticket you would be buying. Right now I'm looking at tickets for the March 4th Duke and NC State game at PNC. And look, I'll hold it up for those watching on YouTube. You can see the exact view from your seat. It's pretty cool. Right now the cheapest ticket is $72, but we have a deal right now running where you can get $20 off of that purchase by using code Wolfpack. That's all caps Wolfpack when you check out. So go use the Game Time app or check it out on your web browser at gametime.co. Great app, great platform, easy to use, and you can save yourself some money in the process. All right, Noah, let's talk about some Wolfpack women's basketball. The number 3 team in the nation, one of the hottest teams in the country on a 5-game ACC winning streak. And we talked last week about how huge of a stretch this is. And Wes Moore said something similar earlier this week where he was like, this team had an opportunity to make a statement during this stretch of the schedule, right? You're playing 3 straight ranked teams, 3 teams that were above you in the ACC standings. And man, the Wolfpack isn't winning pretty, Noah, but they are winning and they are making that statement. So far, they've picked up a 4-point win over UNC, followed by a 10-point win over Louisville. So 2 big-time victories over ranked teams and teams that are going to be competing for an ACC tournament championship in a few weeks in addition to their current runs at the regular season title. So let's do a little bit of recap. Against the Tar Heels, the Pack goes in there, and it was a excellent defensive effort for 3 quarters, right? They hold North Carolina to 12 points in the first, 12 points in the second, 11 in the fourth. And then there was a 24-point third quarter that made this game pretty dang interesting. Shout out to UNC guard Deja Kelly for just going off in that third quarter. She's one of the best scorers in the country. But, the Pack weathered that storm. And it was kind of just a status quo game for them, 4 players in double figures, Mimi Collins and Sanaya Rivers, 2 of the most experienced players on the team, and they deliver and come through to lead the team with 14 points apiece. Sanaya played every minute of that game. Mimi played all but 3. So great game. You had Isaiah James's minutes were limited a little bit by foul trouble as well, so it wasn't the typical offensive explosion that you get from her. But Noah, this was your first chance to see UNC NC State's women's basketball rivalry. What'd you think?
Yeah, watching on TV, it was really, good. Seemed like a good environment, good atmosphere. For what some people call the small gym, I thought it was pretty good to watch on TV and things like that. But yeah, NC State was able to take care of business. Got probably a little tighter than Coach Wes Moore probably wanted it to be. But
yeah,
you know what? I think winning. I think you texted me this, earlier this week. I think winning ugly is a lot better than losing pretty, right? I think you'd rather win the ugly and keep the winning streak going rather than playing a perfect game and just not coming out your way. So NC State able to handle Carolina, and other than that third quarter, I think they played really, really well defensive end. And Deja Kelly, good players do good things, and as you said, I think she had 14, 15 points in the third quarter alone, kind of helped get Carolina back into the game. But NC State was able to hold them off and play pretty consistently in the offensive end. You look at the box score: 15 points in the first quarter, 16 in the second quarter, 18 in the third, 14 in the fourth. Pretty consistent scoring effort for the Pack.
Yeah, in any prolonged scoring drought, they were making up for it at the defensive end. So it wasn't like the Virginia Tech game earlier in January where they go cold for 6 minutes and then Virginia Tech climbs back into the game. No, they were forcing shots on the other end. They knew, I think, that was how they had to win that game, and they got it done. It was a good performance. You beat a ranked team shooting 3 of 16 from 3. That's you're happy, you pack up your bags and then you get ready for shoot around the next day and hope some more fall. But also we would be wrong to not mention after the game there were allegations that a black UNC player was called a racial slur during pregame warmups. NC State is investigating that. We were told after the Louisville game there is no update to that investigation. Wes Moore was not able to comment on the investigation, but so that's just a quick update on that situation. So NC State went from that game, and then kind of a polar opposite game against Louisville. They go and win by 10 against the Cardinals in a game that another game that got pretty scary at points down the stretch, where that Louisville leapt out to this like electric start. Like they didn't miss a shot until like the 5:34 mark in the first quarter, right? And but then thanks to Isaiah James doing Isaiah James things, they climbed back into it very quickly. Ended up scoring 28 points in the first period. Isaiah's doing this thing though. I don't know if you've noticed it too, where she's not letting teams ease into the game. If they tip the opening tip to her, and then she takes off to the basket. And this game, she drew a foul at the bucket and hit one of two. But it seems like whenever she's able to do that and sees a shot fall early, then it's it's blood in the water for her, and she takes off. And another just outstanding game by her. 28-point performance, only player to score more than 12 for the Pack. NC State doesn't have many games like that where you're having to rely on one score. But when you have Isaiah James, it's nice to know that you have a player who's capable of carrying a team for a night, like she was in this game. But yeah, like I alluded to, things started really well for the Pack. I believe they started 3 of 8 or 5 of 8 from 3, and then held the Cardinals to 8 points in the second quarter to take a massive lead into the second half. And then things got a little more dicey down the stretch. Louisville outscored the Pack by 7 in the third, and then the Pack buckled down in the fourth, hit some timely shots and some clutch free throws, and won the game. But Noah, what did you think of this matchup?
Yeah, you talk about Isaiah James. When they win the tip, she goes. I think every game that I've watched, when they win the tip, she's got one thing in her mind: to just give her the ball and let her go to the hoop. And I think teams are starting to key in on that a little bit. Louisville, as you said, fouled her at the basket. I think teams might start doing that a little bit, knowing that she's going to take it and go full speed to the hoop. They can try to maybe draw a charge even. She might have to be a little bit careful, down the stretch here. But overall, she was really great. 20 points in the first half. I was like, dang, she's on pace for 40, which would have been wild. She cooled off in the second half like NC State did really in that third quarter. Allowed Louisville to get back into it a little bit. But, 2 players, 40 minutes. Isaiah played 40 minutes, and Madison Hayes played 40 minutes. Two leading scorers. Wes Moore stuck with the hot hand, with his starters, and then worked the bench. And Zoe Brooks, she gave him really good minutes off the bench. 24 minutes, 8 points, 4 assists, a steal, a block. She did a little of everything. The smallest player on the court. She does everything, and I don't think she's intimidated the big moment. And the atmosphere I think helped them with the play for K night and the pink uniforms for both teams, which is cool to see. Louisville bring theirs out too, and have some some class and respect and all that. So I think overall really well. It looked like the environment was really really cool on TV, and the pink shirts in the crowd and all that. So overall, NC State was able to protect home court, able to win on play for K night, which I know is a big deal for the program. So and donated over $500,000. To research. So I think overall it was, probably the best that game could have gone. You get a 10-point win over a 15th ranked team in the country, donate $500,000 to cancer research, and come out on top.
Yeah, it's a game that means so much more than basketball, and you could tell in the post-game press conference that they were pretty psyched to win this one, especially losing the Play for K game last year, which is kind of a good transition into the next game, because NC State is on a 14-game home winning streak right now, Noah. Their last loss at Reynolds Coliseum to Virginia Tech in last year's Play for K game. Their next game, Thursday night, against the Hokies, number 16 team in the country. And the Pack's looking for revenge. This is an opportunity for them to avenge a 1-point loss in the final seconds to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg earlier this year. Thrilling game that ended in a what Wes Moore called candidly a heartbreaking defeat. It's one that he didn't really shy away from it. He brought it up multiple times in the games following that he wasn't over that game. He said he woke up at 5 a.m. every morning in the days following that contest, thinking about that loss. And it was some refreshing honesty from in these days where coaches preach like the next game mentality. I appreciated Wes Moore being so candid and like sharing how he was really feeling about that game. And you can tell just from the vibe around the players we talked to after the game, we talked to Isaiah and Madison Hayes. They want to win this game. This is a regular season game Thursday, but it means a little extra. Last year was the first time Virginia Tech ever won at Reynolds Coliseum, and now you get a chance to, kind of get what is turning into a rivalry matchup. You have a chance to get a huge win in that game against Virginia Tech, who is now the top team in the ACC standings. Noah, we're both going to be there tomorrow night. Really looking forward to that. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think it's going to have that. I texted you this earlier this week. I think it's going to have an ACC championship game feel. It's going to be a packed house. Always is at Reynolds. They sold out, the rest of the games this season at home. But you think about this: two of the top teams in the league, two of the top teams in the country, really. You have Georgia Amore and Liz Kitley, two of the best players in women's college basketball. Going against NC State, who's a pretty well-rounded team as a whole. And ACC Network's bringing in the pregame show to Reynolds Coliseum, which I think will be cool. We've seen them do it for football a couple of times this year, but see them bring it to a women's college basketball game is really exciting. And I think that just helps set the tone for how big this game really is. And you look at the resale ticket market, tickets aren't cheap for this game. Tickets are not cheap. People want to get in the door. So I think it's going to be really good, and especially how the game in Blacksburg went. A buzzer beater to win the game, maybe moving screen in there, maybe not. But NC State wants revenge, and if they can get it, protect home court, make it a 6-game win streak, I think the Pack will be feeling pretty good hitting the road.
Yeah, and a key part of this also, last time they played Virginia Tech, they didn't have River Baldwin, starting center, who was still recovering from the ankle injury. I think even though she was continuing to play, it looked like she was still working her way back into a rhythm there, and then played a good game against Louisville. Got into double digits for the first time since her injury. I think over the past couple of games, really, she's been really good defensively. So I think we'll continue to see her, work her way back into the elite form she was playing with early in the season before she hurt her ankle. And just having a 6'5" player to guard Liz Kitley, one of the hardest players to guard in the country. But you have River Baldwin there. That'll help. It'll help a lot. And then, of course, you still have Mimi Collins to go against her in smaller lineups. And I thought Mimi did a pretty good job against her in the first matchup. So it'll be a good one. Amore, you mentioned her, Virginia Tech's point guard, went off last year at Virginia Tech, at NC State. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of defensive looks they deploy to slow her down a little bit. And it'll be a good game. Like you said, raucous atmosphere. It's a good one. I'm going to predict the win. And I think we said it last week. Until NC State loses at Reynolds Coliseum, I'm picking NC State at Reynolds Coliseum. Noah, what do you say? Well, go on record. Who's winning this pivotal ACC matchup?
I'll throw out a hot take to where we're at, okay? NC State will win. They'll avenge the 1-point loss to Virginia Tech. And they will hold the combination of Liz Kitley and Georgia Amore to a combined 26 points.
Okay. Wow.
Make somebody else beat them, I think, is going to be Westmore's approach. Obviously, they almost beat them without River Baldwin. Now you get your center back against probably the best center in college basketball. Liz Kitley, she's up there. I think that I watched a little bit of Virginia Tech against Carolina over the weekend. I went to overtime. But they did a good job on Liz Kitley in the post. She didn't really get to do too much for most of the game. So I think, maybe Westmore will take a page out of Courtney Banghart's playbook on how they were able to limit Liz Kitley and not really let her get going.
And Carolina has some good post players. I was really impressed with them. They did a great job of defending on the interior against NC State. But I agree. If they can replicate that game plan and limit Kitley and force someone else to beat them, then I think that's the best strategy you can go with. Because if she gets going, she's tough to stop. So, all right. That's our preview for this week. I really appreciate everyone tuning in and watching and listening to this week's episode. Go check out the Wolfpacker.com. There's a ton of great content on there. We're starting to get geared up for spring practice. It is only less than 3 weeks away, 20 days away now. Late February start for the Pack spring practice. We'll be there first day. Hopefully, it'll be open to the media. We hope, and we'll get to see a little bit of action. We'll have that fully covered on the Wolfpacker.com. We'll have everything covered throughout the last month of this regular season for men's and women's basketball. Baseball season's getting into gear here soon, and of course the wrestling team's making another run at the ACC title. We have coverage for all of that. So go check it out on the Wolfpacker.com. Only $1 to join for premium access. And we appreciate you joining, and we appreciate you watching today. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next week, same day, similar time.